Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? But it was. How do I prove that it was? Come on! Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? Oh, unbelievable! Didn't you know the mirror was wearing gloves? This is so bad. This is so bad. You're just trying to figure out. You're just trying to figure out, like, on which point do the game developer thinks you would object to. Unrelated. There's difference night and day. Kind of like no, we've seen this before. I'm gonna like load it. Okay, I guess. Oh, let's press everything. The locker is mine. Oh, Jesus. Press. What about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine, is no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Completely unrelated. Unrelated? Different 9-day cereal and cereal. Don't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? How do you know that? What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless, it's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera... Why can't you just give him the video? The camera panning back and forth, the floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. You can't present the evidence, but you can ask them to ask you to present the evidence. But if you present the evidence, they just tell you that's not relevant. Look, it's not me, right? It's not me, right? It's the game design, right? Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. It's like they never playtested this. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness. Officer Jake Marshall. Alright, fast forward. I want to look at the knife actually. Okay, watch this. The knife he pulls. I mean, I didn't get it in time. The knife that he pulls out is a full knife. It's not chipped, so the tip of the knife is not missing. Bringing our attention back to the security camera. It's a mistake. I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. That's not you'll not soon forget, Officer Marshall. You'll soon not forget is not the phrasing. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. The days are not short in Texas. Texas is close to the equator. The days are long in Texas. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh god, the slow rewind. Can we do this faster? No? Oh, the white cloth, it's gone! What is the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! It would seem that's the only... Hold your horses. Sorry, partner. But you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. We've gone through this so many times. They're fingerprint locked. Only your fingerprint can open it. Why do we have to talk about this again? The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Are you stupid? Everyone's like, are you stupid? Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? Because you're stupid, that's why. This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You're an idiot. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. Why do I have to prove it? Everybody knows already. Ah, fingerprint sensor. We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. We don't need a flashback! God damn. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about fingerprint locks. I mean... why do we need a flashback for this? We know this. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Order! Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Ole! Please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? What exactly is that? What is that? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekin didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Why do we need to point it out? Why do we need to point it out? It's so obvious. Wait, I pressed the wrong one. I pressed the wrong one. I pressed the... Can I go back? Can I go back? That's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Oh wait, I didn't press the wrong one, that's right. Correct! Unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out though that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. We've got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. No, your mom's circumstantial. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. No, we don't. It's you. Only you can open the locker. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This is not how real cases work. That's actually enough proof. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. What the hell does that mean? I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? To hide his disguise. There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later, as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason to hide the disguise. Jesus, because there's blood all over it. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Why are they making something so simple seem so complicated? It's not complicated. It's the coat. It's the white coat. This is so dumb. Like, they make the simplest thing harder than it needs to be. Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime... Oh, hold on. Save. I don't trust the game. I don't trust the game at all. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Because there's blood all over the jacket, and he couldn't walk around with a bloody jacket. Fast forward. There. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat! You couldn't just walk out like that. So you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated you. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. Alright, it seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. What? Yes, you could. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. Okay, that just seems fine. So the supposed victim was really you. But there was one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he is the donor. Wait, it was way too much blood for such a small donation. There was a lot of blood there. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transfer that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking it into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. Jesus, just let it go, man. I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case is mine. Okay, alright. You're gonna go to prison now. I hope you enjoy prison. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance, that's why I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card, I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What did you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? No, the other one. I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. Well, here you are now. I didn't think it would make a difference though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. Nani? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. What evidence? Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. It's kind of not, because you're going to prison. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. That's not true. You are in court. You are under oath. You do not have a choice whether you answer. If you don't answer, you are in contempt of court and you go to prison. This is so stupid. He's not free to not answer. Come on. That's not how courts work. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you are an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. Oh, even if people die? The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. It's just storytelling. There's no gameplay. You can tell the person who wrote the story is full of himself and doesn't actually care about the gameplay. Right? You can tell, right? The gameplay is kind of awful. And not really there. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? Are we still talking? We're still talking. Why do I have to press it? Just say it. But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. Why are we bringing this up now? One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. Why is that relevant? I remember the Joe Dark... Jesus, why is this relevant? Why are you pulling this in? Look, this is, like, if anything, Marshall should be saying this, because Marshall is the one who can't let it go. The judge and Edgeworth, they have no interest in SL9. Marshall should be explaining. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one would talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. You don't even know what happened, but you're really angry about it. Okay, dude. Alright, dude, you don't even know what happened. you don't you don't even know, but you're so mad about it that you're gonna stab someone. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I better take another look at the files. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. Okay. You know why? Oh, you have to answer his question? No, he answers questions. We don't answer his questions. Come on. No, what? I press.